What's up, YouTube friends? Today we're going to make this ice cream cozy. It's perfect for these little containers of ice cream. It'll keep your hands nice and warm. These are really easy to put together. The things you're going to need to make one of these is two 10-inch pieces of cotton fabric, two 10-inch pieces of cotton batting. If you don't plan on putting these in the microwave, which I don't know why you would, you can just go ahead and use a poly blend. Now, of course, the first thing I went ahead and did is make a template. So I just cut out a 10-inch square from some cardstock. You want to find the center point on each of your sides. I then came down 3 inches and made a mark. And then from that center point, I came over 2.5 inches on both sides and connected my points to make a triangle. You want to do that on all 4 sides. Then you just want to cut out your triangles, and you should have something that looks like this. So the first thing we're going to do is take one of our batting pieces and one of our pieces of fabric and just lay them on top with the right side facing up. We're going to do that to both pieces. And then, just so nothing moves, I'm going to stick a pin on the sides here. So now I'm just going to take this over to my sewing machine and I'm just going to quilt corner to corner. Normally I would just eyeball this, but just for demonstration purposes I'll be using my friction pin and drawing a line. Just like that. I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and with a straight stitch I'm going to sew corner to corner on both pieces. Right, today I'll be using a straight stitch. My length, I bumped it up to a 3. Now I'm using dark green thread here just so you can see it, but you want to use matching thread. There's really no need to backstitch in the beginning. These are all going to get sewed up in another seam, so just sew. And this one I'm just going to eyeball. So next I'm just going to flip these so that the batting side is up and grab my template. I'm going to line it up. And with a friction pen or a pencil, you just want to mark your triangles. And you want to do that to both of your pieces. Next, we're just going to fold this in half. Your marks should line up. And then I'm just going to stick a pin or a clip. And you want to do that to both of your fabric pieces. And now we're just going to take this back over to our sewing machine, and I'm going to backstitch at the beginning and the end, and you want to sew directly on these lines on both pieces. Now I always like to start on the fold and backstitch. and then just flip it around and do the other side. Now with my pinking shears, I'm just going to cut off my little dog ear, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're then just going to open this up and do the same thing on the other two sides. So it should look like this. So I'm just going to take it back over to my sewing machine and do the exact same thing. So now just cut off your little dog ears, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now you should have two little boxes that kind of look like Chinese takeout containers. So we're going to leave one just the way it is, and then we're going to turn the other one right side out. And then we're just going to place it inside this one so that our right sides are touching. So I just like to start right here, make sure those are lined up, and stick a pin. I'm also alternating the way that my seam allowances go. And now I'm just going to come and make sure that the tops are lined up. And I'm going to stick a pin in the points. Just 3 of them. So on this last point, I always like to choose the one that lines up the best. We're going to leave about a 2 to 3 inch opening. So right there will be my opening. And then I just like to stick a pin over here just so nothing moves. So now we're going to take this back over to our sewing machine, and with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to start at this pin, and I'm going to sew all the way around until I get to my final pin and backstitch. So here is my first pin. I'm going to backstitch. When I get to my thread, I'm going to stop with my needle down and pivot. And then just keep sewing. So the same thing, I'm going to stop with my needle down when I get to that seam, raise my presser foot, and spin. So I'm coming up to my final pin, and I'm just going to stop right there and backstitch. So now I just like to go around and make sure that I caught everything. And I did. So now I'm just going to come up here to my points and just clip them off about a 1/4 inch away. And now the trickiest part of this is you want to pull all of this through our little tiny opening. And that really is the hardest part of this project. So now with my bone folder, I'm just going to poke out my points carefully. Make sure that my seams are laying nice and flat. So now I'm just going to come over to my little opening. I'm just going to stick my fingers in there and give it a little bit of a tug. Everything should close up nicely. And then stick a couple pins. So now I'm just going to take this back over to my sewing machine, and with the 1/8 inch seam allowance, I'm going to top stitch all the way around my little ice cream koozie, back stitching at the beginning and the end. So I'm just going to move my needle over to the right and back stitch. Now this is a lot of fabric. If you had a walking foot, that might help. Just go nice and slow. And just like before, I'm going to stop when I get to my seam with my needle down, raise my presser foot and spin. And you might need to give it a little bit of a pull on the back, not too much, just to get it started. And just like that, our little ice cream koozie is finished. It does hold these little containers of ice cream just nicely. And if you have an ice cream lover in your family, this is a perfect gift to give along with some sweet treats. I hope you give this video a try. If you like this video and want to see more of my videos, go down below and hit that big red subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up. If you have a question about this video or any upcoming video ideas, leave me a comment. And as always, thanks for watching, happy sewing, and I'll see you next time.